Welcome to List Building Explosion. The following videos will show you how to take a ordinary website where you're getting traffic already, hopefully, and start gathering your own list. If you're not using list building techniques in your marketing, you are missing out on a wealth of profits, of remarketability. Let's go ahead and get started by talking about what a list is, and I want to show you exactly how much having a list can help you. So what is a list anyway? A list is a highly targeted collection of information gathered from visitors that have opted in and can be used to profit from again and again. Let me go ahead and show you. I think the easiest way to understand this is by me showing you an example of this in action. Okay, let's say, for example, that I just got a new dog and I want to learn some training techniques because my dog is, biting me and all those kind of horrid things. So let's say that I type in dog training in Google and I am taken to this website. So you can see here that this person is offering some information about dog training, but they are also monetizing their site with some ads, some AdSense ads here. I'm sure that, yes, you can see their AdSense. So, that's cool. I'll come here looking for information, and I'm sure a good many people are going to click on these ads. That's one situation. Now, I click on this ad, and I'm taken to another site where somebody's selling a book, and maybe I'll buy it, maybe I won't. But the point is, there's a good chance I will never come back to this site again. So that's situation number one. Now, let's take another look at a different type of website. If you check out this site here, you'll see that it offers some dog training tips, but it really jumps out and says, learn the secrets of dog training today, free e-course, click here. Okay, so that's going to catch my eye because I'm looking to train my dog, and of course, here someone is offering some information for free. I click on it and I'm taken to the page where they offer you can sign up for this free e-course. All I have to do is give my name and email address. So I go ahead and do this, and then this person will then have my name and email address, and they can market to me again, and again. So in the first situation, I come pass through the site, maybe they make a couple cents off me from AdSense, then I'm gone forever. Whereas in this situation, I willingly give them my email address and they can write to me time and time again. They can offer me dog training tips, but they can also, be selling me books on dog training. They can even broaden their scope out and sell me things like dog food, gifts for dogs, all different kinds of things. So I'm sure you can start to see the possibilities here. So again, that's why building a list is so fantastic. It's a great idea, and that's what this video series is going to focus on. I'm going to show you how to, from start to finish, how to handle the autoresponder, how to set it up on your website, how to make it look good, how to lure people in. Some pretty exciting stuff. So I hope that you'll stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll talk specifically about the benefits that you will get from building a list. I'll see you there. There are many advantages to building a list, including you now have the opportunity to market to people multiple times. This is incredibly important. Number one, I can tell you from experience that people come through your website and some will buy the first time, but a lot of people are much more inclined to buy the third or fourth time. If you capture someone's email address, you have the opportunity to develop a relationship with them. And I can tell you, who would you rather buy from? Someone that you just meet on the street or someone that you become friends with and trust their opinion and their advice? Emailing someone, if you do it the right way, can allow you to establish yourself as an expert and they will be more inclined to buy from you. Not just once, but multiple times. That's pretty cool. Autoresponders allow you to communicate with your list members through a series of emails. Now you might be thinking to yourself, this is going to be a lot of work. If I'm going to have a list of all these email addresses, how am I going to keep in contact with everyone? That's going to be a ton of work. Fortunately, there's a service that I'm going to go through in detail that will set it up for you. All you do is you write your emails, you plug them in, you say, I want this to go out on day 1 and this to go out on day 4, and it does it all for you automatically. It's really cool, and we'll be discussing that in detail. You can pre-sell or warm your list and increase the odds of conversion. So again, this has to do with someone signs up for, free dog training tips. I don't immediately jump out the gates and say, buy this book. I start by offering them advice and saying, giving them a helpful tip that will actually, improve their life. And then they say to themselves, wow, this person really knows what they're doing. So they're going to hear what I have to say with a lot more attention. So that's great. So it allows you to warm people up. I'm sure you're in the internet marketing field. You get emails from people all the time and you get to see how people work it, how people hopefully don't push things too hard, but they offer you advice and tips and try to, become more comfortable with you. And then once you get to know them better and of course you trust them more, hopefully you're going to buy from them. And that's the whole point of this. So again, list marketing has multiple advantages among which establishing a relationship with people it's important stuff. I also want to just mention that I would say no more leaving money on the table. It's one of those things where if I look at a website and I see that they're not building a list, uh, oftentimes you're not making as much money as you really could, and that's a big deal to me because I like to maximize, the best that I can. And I hate it when I see people not making the most of things. We all talk about how difficult it is to get traffic, and traffic certainly isn't cheap, and you either pay for it with pay-per-click or you pay for it with a lot of work with SEO. The point is, once you get the traffic, you want to make the most out of the traffic that you have, and list building will allow exactly that. Before I go any further, I did want to throw out there, because I'm sure some of you are watching this video series and the gears are starting to turn to saying, I'm going to take my site and I'm going to throw up a list right now. And I just wanted to mention that there are a couple occasions when it's not the best idea to build a list. Of course, I just went on and on about how great lists are, but just to play both sides of the coin here, I do not advise building a list when you're not sure if there's money in this niche. Essentially, what this means is if you get out there and you start a website on something you've never worked with before, you've never done pay-per-click, it stinks to put a lot of time and money into building, the autoresponder forms and the emails, and then of course driving the traffic, and then you find out that the people in that niche, they don't have a lot of money to spend. That can develop a waste of time. So there are niches where list building works fantastic, and there are some where it doesn't work as well as it could. So I would advise that you make sure that there's money in the niche. Just to give you a few examples, if you have a site that gets traffic based on things that are centered around the word free, free downloads, free coupons, things like that, people get to keep in mind that people come to your site with the intention of not spending money. So that's going to be a tougher sell. Just keep that in mind. Now, in the example I gave in the previous video, I mentioned, they come to the site looking for dog training tips, and there's the big sign, free dog training tips. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just keeping in mind that when the people came to the site, they did not type in free. They came there looking for dog training tips, and then of course, baiting them with offering them free advice, but hopefully they will spend money later. Customers tend to be unresponsive. Again, building on what I just said, there are certain niches out there where it's a tougher sell than others, and unfortunately, it's something you have to learn as you grow as a marketer. I've ran pay-per-click campaigns where I've been disappointed on how little people have bought, depending on how much I spent. And then there's some where you're surprised how much people are willing to spend because it's something they really need. So just keep that in mind. You view this video series, you're going to see that list building, it's not a ton of work, but it is a good bit of work. And I just want to make sure that you do your research before you start list building. Sometimes the niche does not lend itself to repeated selling. Also keep that in mind. I mentioned the dog niche because it's a good one, because keep in mind, if you have someone's email and they're a dog owner, you can be hitting them up for dog food, dog training, gifts, all kinds of different things. Some don't translate that easily, and it might be just one thing. Like if they have a problem and what you're selling them is going to fix their problem and they'll never need anything else again, that's not the optimal situation, because when you have a list, you're able to market to them for repeatedly different things. Not every day, you don't want to market them to death, but the point is that you're able to market to them repeatedly with different things to, of course, hopefully make money. Maybe one person won't buy one thing, but they might buy something else, and with a list, you have the opportunity to do that. So keep that in mind. Again, no harm in trying. List building can almost always, improve how much money you're going to make. It's just that sometimes the effort may not be worth it. So just keep that in mind. I just want to throw that out there. Popular autoresponder services. Fortunately, when we talk about list building and communicating with our visitors, we are not going to have to sit down and painstakingly go through every email one at a time to everyone. We're going to employ an autoresponder service. So I want to talk about a few of the more popular ones out there. Essentially, we're going to be looking at either a program or an online service that will handle the emailing for us. Don't worry, it's not that expensive. The most popular service is Aweber, hands down. That's who I use personally, and I love them. That's who this video series is gonna focus on. Now, don't worry, if you go with another service, you're gonna find that it's very, very similar. You'll still get the gist from all these videos, but this series in particular will focus on Aweber. iContact is also very popular. Didn't used to be as popular, but they're an up-and-comer, and I understand that they're a very good service as well. GetResponse, also pretty popular. Again, the three of these, it's good stuff. I haven't heard bad things about any of them, but again, I use Aweber. I think it's the most popular. Of course, another option is your own email server. That's not what I recommend. Essentially, what this means is Aweber, I sign up for them. They are going to handle the emails themselves. I will not actually be sending the emails out. This is is a good thing because sending emails can be a complicated thing, especially if you have a big list. If you're going to be sending them yourself from your computer, you can run into all kinds of problems. I'm not going to go into it here, but you just got to trust me. It can cause problems. You're going to find that your delivery rate is not going to be as high. A place like Aweber, it's their business, it's what they do, and they have got it down, and I have been very pleased with the emails that I send out, as far as them getting received, and spam has been under control, all those different things. Aweber also has some statistics to allow you to even see how many people open your email. If you have a link in your email, that will track how many times it's clicked, which is extremely helpful. So, these things offer that. Of course, you can, for a one-time cost, purchase some type of mailing program and set it up on your own server, but you have to be a bit more technical to be able to do that. These solutions here keep it pretty much out of your hands. So keep that in mind. I'm not trying to dissuade you from trying it on your own email server. I'm just not recommending it. So then let's go ahead and get started about talking more specifically about working with Aweber. Okay, now that we have our shiny new Aweber account, the first thing we're going to do is create a new autoresponder. Now keep in mind, when you look at my account, I have a ton already. So, and of course with yours, you're not going to have any. So just, remember that. Let's go ahead and create a new autoresponder. Okay, I'm here in my Aweber account. I apologize, you'll see some stuff is blocked out just for personal reasons. I'm going to go ahead and click Add New on Managing List. This will allow me to create a brand new list. Go ahead and create list. Okay, here we go. Essentially what we're going to do is, and you'll see a real nice thing here is they also have their own videos that you can watch. That'll show you how to get going. You certainly can do that if you like. Of course, this video series is going to take you, much further beyond that. But Aweber has some pretty cool stuff as far as how to use their stuff. So the first thing you want to do is create a list name. This is important. It can only be up to 15 characters, and you want it to represent whatever it is that you're creating. So if I'm creating one on dog training, I'm going to go ahead and call it dog training. Now, unfortunately, just dog training, of course, somebody at Aweber has already taken that. So I'm going to need to come up with something else. Maybe something like some numbers there. 12. Of course, that's going to have significance to me, but nobody else, but that's okay. Of course, you could play around with hyphens. See, there you go. That's available too. Okay, short list description. Now this will only be viewable on your unsubscribe page. So meaning that if somebody, of course, one of the important things, whenever somebody signs up for your list, you always give them the option to unsubscribe. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. We'll talk about that in the next video, actually. But so you just want to write what your description of the list is. Okay, let's see. How about just dog training advice? There you go. Okay, multiple unsubscribe. I recommend just leaving that there like that. Okay, open rates. I certainly want to be able to track if people are opening their messages, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that checked. I'm going to hit save. Okay, it's telling me that I do not have my reply address set. Yes, I certainly don't. I'll be taking care of that in a minute, but they're pointing it out to me. Thanks, Aweber. Okay, this next section is pretty cool. It allows you to brand your pages. Essentially, company name, whatever your company is called here, write that in there. If you have a logo on your site or for your company, you can have it, put on your forms as well. So that's really cool. So you would enter your URL if you have one. Also, the location of your website, put that there. And also, whatever color you want the bar to be that would divide the HTML on the pages. So this means that if someone's going to, opt into your stuff or unsubscribe, this is all going to be on that page. Let's go ahead and preview it so you can understand what I'm talking about. Essentially, if someone ever wants to have anything to do with their subscription to your list, you're going to be taking this page, and these settings here, are making it more personalized. So you can just skip it if you want, but I think it adds a additional touch of professionalism. Okay, this reply address, very, very important. This is where the emails are going to be coming from and to. Now, of course, they're not actually going to be sent from this address. Aweber is sending them, but this is where Aweber is going to plug in that they came from. So, super, super important that this be a actual email address that you're going to have access to. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to be in compliance with the spam regulations. So, which we're going to talk about in the next video. So, you're going to go ahead and put whatever the email address is of your of your website. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in. Say we'll just say Sam at Dog Training Tips, and that's not my site. I'm just making that up. So don't go there looking for me because that's not me. And my name, I'll just say that I'm Sam. And I want the emails to look like that's from me. And also notifications whenever somebody signs up to my list, and the email is going to be sent to this address, and I'll know that someone else signed up. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, now all those are set. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the very, very important CAN Spam Act and what it means for what we're doing here. Next, I'd like to talk about the CAN Spam Act of 2004. Essentially, this is extremely important, especially if you're in the United States, because it means that if you send out email without certain characteristics, it is actually breaking the law. So I'm sure everyone out there is listening intently to this video because it's extremely important. Essentially, what it means is you cannot just go out and email anybody that you want and not contain certain things. Now, one of the big differences here is I want to really make this clear. We are not spamming anyone. That this whole autoresponder is going to be set up on the principle, on the basis that we're only emailing people that gave their permission first. That's extremely important. So let's say that we're going to basically, we're going to put a form on our website, and we're going to say if you want to sign up for my list, please go ahead and do so, and they're going to willingly give us their email address, and then we are going to email them back. So we are certainly not emailing anyone unintentionally that doesn't want it. So number one, we're going to be safe there. Also, any email that we do send out needs to have a few special things. It needs to have an actual valid address at the bottom, an actual physical mailing address that is ours. It also needs to be sent from a valid email address. The last and final thing is that it also has to have a link that says if at any time you'd like to unsubscribe from this list, just click here and it'll happen. You need to give someone that option. And of course, Aweber is going to make sure that we're covered in all those aspects. It would never ever send an email that didn't have those things. So we're in luck. So, as you continue through this video series, you'll see that Aweber will protect us and make sure that we follow those guidelines. And if you're using anything else, please, it's incredibly important to make sure that you're doing that. Again, you need to make sure that you have a valid address at the bottom of every email that you send, and also give them the option to unsubscribe whenever they want. Okay, so then we're set. Let's go ahead and move forward with setting up our autoresponder. Next, I'd like to talk about the CAN Spam Act of 2004. Essentially, this is extremely important, especially if you're in the United States, because it means that if you send out email without certain characteristics, it is actually breaking the law. So I'm sure everyone out there is listening intently to this video because it's extremely important. Essentially, what it means is you cannot just go out and email anybody that you want and not contain certain things. Now, one of the big differences here is I want to really make this clear. We are not spamming anyone. That this whole autoresponder is going to be set up on the principle, on the basis that we're only emailing people that gave their permission first. That's extremely important. So let's say that we're going to basically, we're going to put a form on our website, and we're going to say if you want to sign up for my list, please go ahead and do so, and they're going to willingly give us their email address, and then we are going to email them back. So we are certainly not emailing anyone unintentionally that doesn't want it. So number one, we're going to be safe there. Also, any email that we do send out needs to have a few special things. It needs to have an actual valid address at the bottom, an actual physical mailing address that is ours. It also needs to be sent from a valid email address. The last and final thing is that it also has to have a link that says if at any time you'd like to unsubscribe from this list, just click here and it'll happen. You need to give someone that option. And of course, Aweber is going to make sure that we're covered in all those aspects. It would never ever send an email that didn't have those things. So we're in luck. So, as you continue through this video series, you'll see that Aweber will protect us and make sure that we follow those guidelines. And if you're using anything else, please, it's incredibly important to make sure that you're doing that. Again, you need to make sure that you have a valid address at the bottom of every email that you send, and also give them the option to unsubscribe whenever they want. Okay, so then we're set. Let's go ahead and move forward with setting up our autoresponder. Next, we'd like to look at the global fields. Essentially what this is that it's a part of the list that is going to be the same for every list we create. We only set it once, and then every list that we create in Aweber, of course, we can create multiple lists. I actually have dozens. And every time it's going to use the same default address at the bottom of each page. Now, maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want to change it. We'll go ahead and set up the first time, and then, of course, you can change it for each list. You can have one list have one address at the bottom and another have another. Of course, you can do that. But it's by default, it's going to use the global. So let me go ahead and show you how that looks. Click on global, and you'll be taken to the global settings. Okay, one thing you can set up is your signature that, of course, appears below every email that you send, and then also your valid address. You can see that I have mine blocked out here. Of course, you can type in whatever you want and go right there, and then save it, and it'll be set. Should you double opt in? Okay, this is the next setting that we're going to come to, and it's an important one. You can see here it says verified opt-in. Let me go ahead and click on that, and you'll see here the default is that verified opt-in is on. Now, what does this mean? Okay, and again, I'm sure that many of you out there are already on lists. Whenever you go and sign up for someone's newsletter, you enter your email address, and then you are sent an email to your account that you have to verify. You have to go and open it, and then you're put on the list. What this is known as double opting in. When you go to someone's website the first time, you're saying, yes, sir, I want to sign up for your website, for your mailing list. And then they say, okay, that's great. That's opt-in number 1. Then they say, I want to make sure that you really want this. I'm going to send you an email. You need to go to your email box and click on the link that I sent to you. Verify that's really you. And a second time, say, yes, I want this. And then you're on the list. Then and only then. So do you want this? Of course, you can have the option that whenever someone comes to your site, they fill in your email address and bam, they're on. You can do it that way too. That's the difference between verified opt-in, also known as double opt-in. Should you do it or shouldn't you? Well, there's actually 2 schools of thought on that. You can see that Aweber recommends that you do this. And I can tell you, a lot of people do, because the problem is if you don't, what's to stop anyone from going to someone's site and filling in somebody else's email address? Nothing. Certainly you could do that. If you have it on, your list is going to be smaller, but it's going to be a lot tighter. It's going to be a lot more responsive because for sure, you're only going to have people that are very serious. They definitely want to hear what you have to say. On the other hand, I got to tell you, when I first started doing this, it was hard to see that people were taking step 1 but not doing step 2. They were giving me their email address but not verifying, which meant that I couldn't contact them. And I had a hard time with that because, I wasn't getting a lot of traffic, especially in the beginning, and I wanted to get as much as I could. So it's really up to you what you want to do. To be honest with you, I use both settings on different lists, just experimenting with it. I myself can't strongly say yes or no. There are people out there that do have strong feelings about this. I'm not one of them. So it's up to you. Again, to summarize, if you use verified opt-in, you're going to be safer. Guarantee that you're only going to have the people that absolutely want it. But I can also tell you that people that people are lazy, and they say they want it, and then they never bother to click on the verify this, and you're never able to send them your information. That could have been a possible sale. So it's really up to you. Of course, if you do go with the double opt-in, you have the option here to personalize the verification email that they are sent. You cannot edit this right here, but you can edit some, things like the intro and whatnot. You just got to be careful. They don't allow you to edit too much. And then also, once they verify it, you have the chance here to send them to a specific page. So that's all options, within your power there. So that's basically opt-in or not. It's up to you. Creating a web form. Now it's time for us to create a form that is going to go on our site. Now don't worry, you don't have to know a lot about coding at all. Aweber is going to take all that guesswork out of the equation for us. So I'm here in my account. I'm going to go ahead and click on Web Form. And you'll see some options come up. The first thing we want to do, of course, is create a web form. You'll see that you can have multiple forms for each list that you have, which certainly comes in handy. First thing we need to do is name the form. You're the only one that sees this, so you certainly can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it Form 1, so I know that. Now you have an option of how the form is going to be. You can actually have it pop up in a new window, pop under the window. When they go to leave the page, you can have it be an exit pop-up. You can have it hover. All different kinds of things to experiment with. Me personally, I just go with the standard inline, which means that it is right smack in the website. So people see it all the time. And again, you can play around with the different things. thank you page. Whenever somebody signs up for your list, you have the option to send them somewhere. One thing that I've had a lot of success is by offering someone something for free. If you sign up for my list, I will give you this free book that will help you learn how to train a dog. And once they give me their email, I send them to the page where they can download the book. So it's immediate gratification. I can even say that, right after you give me your email address, I'm going to give you the book, and that's going to raise your response rate. You'll see that. Of course, if you just leave this go, it's going to take them to the standard Aweber page, and you can do that too, whether or not it opens in a new window. Forward variables. Essentially, this is something that's beyond the scope of this video series, but if you really get into this stuff, you can actually pass on variables that people will fill in, and it gets sent forward to you, which you could even do more with. That probably went over people's heads. Don't worry about it again, but it's pretty cool that they offer this if you wanted to get into more specifics with tracking. Okay, it's very possible that someone will try to sign up for your list twice, and you can send them to a page about that too. And also, whenever somebody signs up for your list, if you have multiple messages, maybe you want to start them on number 1. You can start them on a later message if you want. It's totally up to you. Okay, and you can let them know how many people are subscribed to your list. Maybe you want to do that, maybe you don't. If I was starting out a list, I would not want people to know, hey, guess what? There's 3 people on your list. It's going to make it sound like a pretty small list. So again, maybe you want to go back and include that later on. Okay, now it's time for us to design our form. You can see here that they've already started with a basic form, name and email address. But I can go ahead and add fields if I want to, or I can even edit. Let's say that I want this to say first name. So I'll go ahead and type first there. Okay, first name, there we go. Now also you'll see here it says default value. Let's say that I wanted something in there already. I could do that, and you'll see here on the form this will be filled in already. Now, would there be a reason to do that? Depending on your form, maybe. Certainly not in a first name example. Say I wanted to add a new field. Again, I can have it be whatever I want. Let's say I wanted it to be phone number. Now, I'll tell you, most people aren't going to be comfortable, filling in their phone number. But just to show you, for example, I'm going to add it over here, and then I can also drag it. Let's say I wanted that to be first, or get rid of it because not necessary. You can even change this submit button to say something else. One thing that I've found is it helps if you really spell everything out. So click here to submit. Go ahead and save that. Okay, and there you go. You can have a footer also. Okay, so there's our form. Essentially what we'll do next is get the code and put it on our website. Don't worry, that's also pretty easy. Now that we've created our form, it is time to add it to our website. And also, of course, don't worry, you can always go back and change your form too. So it's certainly not set in stone. Okay, yeah, we have our form here, and this is actually a very handy display. It shows us how many times our form has been viewed and all that good stuff. We can preview our form. There it is. Pretty simple. And we can get the code, get HTML. Now you'll see that they're going to actually give us 2 options here, the JavaScript and also the raw HTML. Now this is going to be really important. If you're a beginner, absolutely stick with this because this is very easy. You can see it's not even a lot of code. I'm just going to go ahead and right click and copy, and then I'm going to go to my web editing program and open up the page where I want the code to appear and stick it in, and that's where it'll show up. Now if I wanted to get a bit more technical, I can click on the raw HTML version. Now you can see that this is quite a bit of code, but the advantage here is that we can actually take this code and edit it however we see fit to do some pretty cool things. So again, if you're a beginner, stick with this. It's a lot easier, and you literally just put this wherever it belongs in your site. If you want to see an example of what code looks like in a sample web page, I've included that in the resources section of this video tutorial, and also in the book. You can see it as well. So you can check that out. But again, to show you for the more advanced people, let's say I were to take this code and wanted to do some simple editing to it. Again, if this is making your head spin, please ignore this stuff. It's not necessary, but it's pretty cool if you want to play around. I've placed the code into Notepad, a simple text editor. And we can look at these individual IDs here. For one, when they complete the form, We could go ahead and send them to a specific page. We can edit that there. We can also edit the size of the form. Let me show you what I mean by that. This line here, how long can it be? We can edit how long it actually is. Look, right now it's 20, but of course we could make it 100. We could have it be a couple rows deep, all different kinds of things. So again, you see there are different values here that you can change, but not for beginners. Okay, so that's basically how you get it on. The real cool thing about it is you can dress it up however you like. Let me show you an example again of a form on a page. This is the page that I give to you. Of course, it's more generic than this, but essentially this is the layout. You can see that it has this real nice cut around the border, and I show you how to do that too in the sample form that I give you. But this is the actual form right here, ladies and gentlemen. All this stuff, I typed in. You can make it look fancier, cleaner, whatever you want. But this is the actual form right here, and you can see that in the example that I provided. And of course, you can have whatever else you want, to be in there. These are testimonials that I pulled directly from the affiliate offer that I'm promoting. So pretty cool stuff. Essentially, that's how it works. Okay, creating your first message. Now that we have our form, you're probably saying to yourself, but what do I say to these people? Of course, now they've signed up for my list. How in the world am I going to communicate with them? Okay, well, no problem. Let's go into our account here, and we're going to click on Messages. And this is where we set up our message. As of right now, of course, nothing is set up. So if people sign up for my list, I'm going to be in trouble. I don't even have a welcome message. So then go ahead and click on Add Message. And you'll see here, we're going to talk about the subject. In this video, I'm just going to show you how to write it. As far as the content that should go in it, we're going to talk about that in detail over the next several videos. But for right now, I'm just going to show you basically how to get it into the system. Of course, your subject goes here. And then whatever you're going to write goes here. And you'll see that you have templates that you can mess around with, and also the option to have HTML messaging or text, of course, and or. Now, one thing that I'm going to tell you how I do it. It seems like people are not real keen on getting emails that are HTML heavy, as far as having a lot of images and whatnot. A lot of spam uses it. Sometimes if you send a message that has a lot of pictures in it, it's going to get blocked. It's going to get tripped by the spam filters. What I do is I always stick with the simple plain text message. I don't even do HTML, so everyone's just getting text from me. Now, of course, you can have it be fancy if you want. You can experiment and see, what's going to work better for you. But sometimes, in my opinion, people can get carried away with fancy stuff, and even though it looks nice, it's not going to convert as well. It's not going to sell as well. I really want people, I follow the KISS approach, keep it simple, stupid. But of course, if you want to dress up your emails, you can have them look pretty fancy. Aweber provides that for free. But again, I usually just stick with the basic stuff here. So let's say that I go ahead and I start typing my message. Of course, I'm not going to recommend that you write gibberish like this. You'll see here it's going to go on and on and on. What I do is I just paste it in here, how to write it, and then I click on Wrap Long Lines. What it's going to do is it's going to pre-format this so it's going to be readable by just about anybody out there. If I were to not do this, it's going to create problems. It's a little bit complicated to explain, but I'm sure if you go look at your inbox and look at emails that you've received from other internet marketers, you will see that they all keep this format, and there's a very strong reason for that, and it has to do with email programs jarbling things up. So what I always do is I go ahead and I open up my notepad or maybe even my word processor, but be careful with that too. You don't want extra formatting garbage in there. And I take whatever I wrote and I copy it and I paste it right into here, and then I hit Wrap Long Lines, and it puts it in a format that is easy for people to read. It's very important. Okay, if you want, you can attach a file too. I'm going to go ahead, and of course you can preview the message if you want. And then hit save, and you have your first message. Creating additional messages is just as easy as the first. Go ahead and hit Add Message. And then just go ahead and create it. Now, of course, you can go ahead and specify when this message is going to be sent out. Do you want it sent out the very next day or 7 days later? And we'll talk about intervals in a minute as well, but here you can just pick whatever you want. And that's basically how you get your messages going. Pretty easy stuff. And of course, you can go back at any time and edit your emails. They're always going to be here. And you can also, if anybody complains about your message, it will show up here as well. So it's pretty cool stuff. And there's additional options. You can reset statistics and things like that, but I'm not going to bore you with that. You can kind of, check it out yourself as well. Sending out broadcast emails. We just talked about sending out regular emails to people, once they sign up for our list, but I also wanted to talk about a pretty neat feature that Aweber has known as broadcast messages. As you can see here, we've been working with follow-up. Basically, a broadcast message is simply one that is sent to everyone at the same time. So let's say, for example, that someone signs up for my list today. I'm going to send them an email today, and then automatically they'll get one, 4 days later, and then 3 days after that, and however I specify. However, let's say that I wanted to send the same message to everyone at the same time. That's known as a broadcast message. So you just go ahead and create that just like you would any other message, except that you get to specify when it's going to go out. So let's say, for example, that a new product is launching next Friday, and I want to tell everybody about it on Thursday. And I can set that up right now. Because, of course, if I just include it in my follow-ups, people are going to get it at different times. So, this can be used to do things as simple as wish everyone a Merry Christmas, or a Happy New Year, or, of course, promote a launch happening at a specific time. So I'm sure that you'll see that there is a very specific need for this, and it's pretty cool, and that's how it works. Tracking your lists and conversions. This is extremely important. I wanted to certainly say a few words about it here. I've logged on to a different list. This is something that I've had, for a while now. And I just wanted to show you what the statistics look like and how important it is to pay careful attention to them. One thing that's very powerful is split testing, meaning that you can create multiple web forms and see which ones are going to convert better. What this means is that every time somebody goes to your page, one time it's going to show form A and the next time it's going to show form B. And you can compare which ones are going to perform better. Of course, you can see here that these are some specifics. It says how many times my form is displayed and also how often people are actually going to sign up for what I'm offering. So you can see here that my rate is almost 40%. So that's pretty cool. I'm actually really proud of that. It means that for every person that clicks on every time my form is displayed, that many people are going to be hopefully signing up. So that's actually really good. And the reason I'm able to get it so high is something I'm going to share with you later in this series. So essentially, that's how it works. Tracking your statistics is incredibly important. Of course, you can reset it at any time too. So you track it 1 week with one way, and then of course change it up and track it in a different way. But the important thing I'm trying to say is, even something as simple as changing a couple words in your wording can, really increase how many subscribers or decrease the amount that you're going to get as well. And if you don't test, you'll never know. So Aweber gives you the statistics, so you may as well check it out. Of course, you can also look at specific things like the emails that you're sending out. Let me show you what that looks like too. And track how many times people are actually opening up. They also provide you with, of course, you want to keep an eye on your complaints. You'll see here that even me, Master Video Creator, I get complaints too, and it just happens. Of course, I don't know why. I guess people sign up for my list and they forget they did, and they don't like it. I don't know, but it happens. And you can see here, you can track, of course, the percentage that are people actually clicking on a link that you have in their email. And you might be surprised and say to yourself, I didn't expect it to be so low, and unfortunately, that's how it goes, depending on the niche. I've had niches that have been a lot higher than this too. Unfortunately, sometimes lower as well. So, of course, you want that click-through rate to be as high as you can, and only by experimenting and testing can you work on getting it higher. Effective list communication. Now that we've got the technical details out of the way, it's time to start talking about how to communicate with your list in an effective way that's going to, of course, make you lots of money. That's the goal of all this. I've got 5 helpful tips for you that I've found to help my list building experience, and I want to pass them on to you. Starting with tip number 1, warming your list. This is really important. I can't tell you how turned off I am personally whenever I sign up for someone's list and they hammer me right away by trying to sell me things. Let's say, for example, that you go to a place where you're looking for free dog advice. I got to tell you, when I sign up, I'm wanting to get this information. I don't want the thing I receive to be a strong sales letter. That's not saying that you can't send someone a strong sales letter, but you don't want to do it right away. It's important to establish yourself as an expert and show them that you actually want to help them. It comes down to who you're going to believe more. You don't want to come off as and of course, apologies to anyone that's in this field, but if you ever bought a car, some car salesmen can be very, very strong, and I do not want to come across like that with the email marketing. I want to come across as a friend. That's the approach that I take here, and I've had success with. And only by providing helpful information up front am I going to do that. I know it's hard because you get in this field and you want to make money, and of course you want to be selling right from the beginning, but I got to tell you, it's better if you wait. Effective list communication tip number 2, establishing credibility. I started to talk about this in the last video. They do overlap a bit. Essentially what this means is that we want to take time to make sure that we establish ourselves as someone that they're going to trust and also respect. The best way to do this is by providing helpful information to your list and showing them that you know what you're talking about. So again, if I do a real strong sell about this dog training book and don't provide information first, it's going to hurt me. So, of course, the best situation here is going to be that I was once in their shoes. Let's say that they come to me because they want to learn how to train their dog. I can talk about how I used to have a dog that didn't listen at all, and I just didn't know what to do when I was ready, to pull my hair out. And then, of course, I learned what to do, and now things are going better, and this worked for me, and it'll work for you, and of course that's all going to help people feel better about things. So whatever you can do to position yourself as an expert is going to help you, because if they trust you, then they're going to listen much more intently to what you say when you make a recommendation, and that's what this is all about. And this is about sending 2, 3, 4 emails before you sell, and getting them to look forward to your emails and say, wow, I really listened to what he has to say, and if it helped him, maybe it'll help me. I'm in the same situation as him. This is really important stuff. So this raises the question, when do I start selling? And based on what I've learned, you want to wait until the 3rd or 4th email before you start selling. Now, one thing that I do is oftentimes, even in the first email, I will let them know, hey, the information I'm providing you is from this book. And then, of course, it's the book I'm promoting. And that's what's known as a soft sell. And I save the hard sell for later, for email 3, email 4. So essentially, throwing it out there, letting them know, hey, this is, free advice, and it helped me, but also this is where I got it. And then, of course, that 4th email is when I really come right out and say, hey, listen, I bought this book. It helped me. I think it would help you too. Here's why. Effective list communication tip number 3. Effective email frequency. This is extremely important and hard even for me to get a grasp of. Essentially what this means is you want to take care of your list. You don't want to email them too much or too little, because of course too much and you're going to bombard them, especially if you're selling to them too much. They're not going to like it and they're going to unsubscribe, and of course then they're gone forever. Or if you don't email them enough, they're going to forget about you. And that's bad news, because you could work really hard to establish a relationship with them. And then, months down the road, you want to email them again, and they're not going to remember who you are. And all that hard work will be out the window. So what do I recommend? I recommend that you email everyone on your list at least once a week. No more than twice a week, unless something special is going on. So if I was going to go ahead and launch some type of product, maybe that week I would be emailing them more, letting them know, hey, over the next 3 days, I'm going to share with you some information about blah, blah, blah. And then, doing that every once in a while is okay, but you don't want to do it all the time. Now, there are people that believe in emailing once a day. I'm not one of them, but you certainly can give it a try and see how it works out. The key here is to know your audience and to know what they're comfortable with. And of course, you could even ask them, hey, do you find my stuff helpful? Would you like to hear from me more often? Of course, it's going to be more work for you too, but just something to think about. I think the key here, again, is to not overdo it and also not underdo it. Effective list communication tip number 4. Match offers to your list. This is extremely important. You could work hard and build up a fantastic list of people willing to buy from you, and it's all blown out of the water if you're emailing them offers that are not a match for them. What I would strongly suggest you do is, whatever niche that you're in, you take the time to ask people what it is they're having trouble with. If you decide that you want to be in the dog training niche, go out there and find out specifically what dog owners want. Are they having trouble finding tips on how to potty train or what problem with the biting. And the more specific you can get with their needs, the better you're going to do. Of course, you would not email someone on your list about cats if they signed up because they're a dog owner, because it's not a good match. But I have to say it because there are people out there that do these kinds of things. You really need to think to yourself, uh, or you're going to, number one, if you're sending them irrelevant content, it's going to be a bad thing. You might say to yourself, they signed up because they're dog lovers. Maybe I could email them about a free gift card to Target. That's not very specific. And I would be concerned of offending people, and they're going to say, they're just looking to make a buck off me. And of course, if I email them something that's credible and that's a match, it's going to make a lot more sense, and you're going to find a lot more conversions and a lot more of a lifelong kind of relationship that you can have with them. So again, it's crucial that you do that, and of course that you also test. You can even do things with Aweber like if you have a list of 1,000 people, you can send 500 people one offer and 500 another offer and see which one does better. And then you know which one to focus on for the future. Effective list communication tip number 5. Expand your list with JVs. JV stands for joint venture, and it's very important. Essentially what this means is once you begin to have your own list, you have a true asset to your business, something that you can take to another marketer in a position such as yourself and swap things out. What this means is, let's say that I have a list of 500 people that have dogs and they want to hear about dog training. I could go ahead and approach someone else in a similar field and say, hey, why don't we cross promote? I will promote your product to my list in exchange for you promoting mine to yours. This can be extremely profitable. Of course, in the example that I gave, it might not match as well, but I'm sure as you can imagine, in internet marketing, this type of swapping can work extremely well. Now, by no means am I saying that I'm going to take the email addresses that I have and give them to anyone else. Of course not. What I'm saying is that I would send out an email from me to promote someone else's product. Let's say that I have a list, that I built based on people that wanted to learn about lists, such as what brought you to me this day. Someone might approach me that has a course on article marketing and say, hey, listen, could you promote to your list, and in exchange I'll promote to mine. And that's going to, double the exposure for both of us. So it's a great thing. You can go to places like the Warrior Forum, where people actually talk about joint ventures and teaming up. Of course, you can approach people in your niche as well. You can just start off at the beginning, go on to ClickBank and look at people that have products similar to yours and explore if they would, just email them and say, would you be interested in a joint venture? You might be shaking your head saying that's not going to work, and you'd be surprised how often it does. Of course, you want to wait until you have a sizable list before you try this out. The number that I heard was 1,000, and that might sound like a lot. In the internet marketing field, 1,000, is a good list to explore joint ventures, but if you're in a more specific niche, I'm sure that it could be smaller and you could try it out there as well. I want to talk about a few advanced tips that beginners certainly listen to, but don't worry about it too much yet. We're just getting started. I want to talk about creating a smart squeeze page. Essentially, what this means is, we have two different situations here. If we look at this site, if we were to go to the home page of the site, you will see that, of course, it has lots of content, but then here we have an ad here, and then of course there's an ad here. That's all going to draw attention to a free newsletter that I'm offering to people. But if we actually go, you'll see here this is what's called a squeeze page. It's a page that is totally 100% focused on getting someone to sign up for your list. And elements that make a good squeeze page, of course, is not having many exits. You don't want to have AdSense ads or other, enticing things that are going to want to make people want to click and check out. I have a privacy policy there. I don't think people are going to be chomping at the bit to check that out. The point is the only real available exit is right here, signing up for the list. You want to spell out very clearly what you're offering and what the benefits are of what you're offering. And that's what all goes into a good squeeze page. Again, I've given you a template to start out with. Which is very similar to what you see here, to start building your squeeze pages off of. And again, you can also split test this, and it's very important to do so with not only what you're providing, but also how you're writing it and all that good stuff. So again, just keep that in mind as you're working on your own squeeze page, and also look and see what other people are doing as well. Keep in mind that everything you see might not be good. I've seen quite a few terrible squeeze pages out there as well, but look at some expert marketers that really know what they're doing and see how they're doing and of course, take a bit from them and think about how you can apply what they're doing to yours to take yours forward. Again, the squeeze page is really important because the more people you can get on your list, the better. Taking your list forward with automation, I wanted to say a few words about this. In Aweber, they offer this. It's pretty cool. It's automation, which means that if someone, you have the option when someone signs up for one of your lists, you can also have them enrolled in another list at the same time. This can be very handy. Let me show you an example of how it can be. Let's say that I, have a big site on dog training, and I have individual programs on each page that are going to try to pull people in. Let's say that I have one that's it's, a free tip on people that are having trouble with biting, dog biting. I could have them sign up for, that list, but then also at the same time put on a general dog training list. And then I could also have another list, another page that talks about dog food. And then, of course, they sign up for that list, and they're also rolled over into my general dog list. It's a way to manage multiple lists where you can have, you can have the same person on two lists, one very specific to them and then one general, which means that if I'm going to promote a product that's, generally speaking about dog training, I could send that out to the general list. But let's say that I just wanted to talk to the people that signed up that are having specific problems about biting. I can send them, an email more tailored to those people. So again, that might have sounded a bit confusing, but once you get going and start using this, I think you'll understand what it means. Basically, what you're saying is that they sign up for list A at the same time enroll them in list B, and that's all it means. You can only do one at a time. You can't have it be millions at a time, but again, it's pretty cool and something that I've used to more specifically, market to people, and it certainly comes in handy. Okay, well that's it. I hope that you've enjoyed this video series, and I really hope that you will get out there and start applying what you've learned here to your websites, to your traffic, and really start taking things forward, because I gotta tell you, if you're not using your traffic to build a list, you are literally leaving money on the table. And I gotta tell you, that's something I really don't like to do. So I strongly encourage you to get out there, and even though it's going to take some work and it's going to take some getting to know the people on your list, I can tell you that you get this going and you're going to thank me, because not only are you going to make more money, but you're going to have a true asset to your business, because just because you're getting traffic today doesn't mean you're going to get as much traffic tomorrow. And I know that I feel a lot more comfortable about my internet empire because I know that I have these emails and it's an asset that I actually, I have, and something that I can use to continue to grow my business. Good luck.